Coming up today on PTL, we break down the 2015 World Championship Finals. Listen to the pros in mic check and spice up our lives in the Penta. Ich bin ein Berliner. Primetime League starts right now. Huni will find a stun, but fails the flash. And Smib will be smiling with that one. Ku will get themselves the ace, will get themselves the base, and will earn themselves a shot at the Summoners Cup.
There's no stopping him now. It's time for SKT to make it to the finals undefeated.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Berlin, Germany. I'm Trevor Quickshot Henry, joined with David Freak Turley and Martin Deficio Lunga. Technically, you're in our hometown now, so welcome to Berlin, Freak.
Thanks. It's a bit cold, but I guess that's why they call it Berlin.
Right, we're here in town for the World Championship Final. Let's take a look at the bracket and how we've got ourselves to this SKT versus Ku Tigers matchup. It is the first time that we're going to have a Korea versus Korea final, but it's technically the 5th Korean team that's actually made it to the World Championships. If you look down the list, there's been 2 Chinese teams that have made it, 2 European teams that have made it. Both from season 1 still counts. Still counts. And of course, 0 from North America. So we'll talk about the bracket and the finals, Deficio, in this, Korea v Korea.
I think obviously it's the 2 best teams we have here, especially SK Telecom has looked so dominant all season long here. Ku Tigers, I will also say I was a little bit surprised they beat Fnatic so easily, but they definitely deserve to be here. Yeah,
and SKT still not dropped a game. Are we going to see our first perfect run at World Champs?
If you asked me last week, I probably would have said yes. But the more I think about it, honestly, they've had a pretty easy run through the bracket so far, right? They had a slumping EDG with like the 2 worst top laners in the tournament practically, plus Bangkok Titans, plus H2K. They're European, of course, and not very good. And honestly, it was like SKT have had one of the easiest brackets the whole way through because of EDG slumping. And so at this point, it's like, here's their first, like, I would say, really good test where like Ku might actually be on their level, or at least close to it.
I certainly hope so, because we've got the stats guys backstage talking to us. Samsung White technically had a high KDA despite having dropped the game. Samsung White also had a quicker average game time, and the first iteration that won the World Championship, SKT, also had a faster game time. Deficio, are they looking to break any records in the finals?
No, except for going 15-0, I guess, is the only one. I think Samsung White will forever, in my heart, be the greatest team we've ever had in a World Championship.
Well, I guess we'll find out on Saturday if your heart will be broken or not. But I mentioned records very quickly. In terms of champions, in the semifinals, we saw 2 new guys played, Zach and Nautilus. So that increases our unique number of champions to 74, which is a record breaker, highest number of unique champs at a World Championship in our 69 games. Freak, is this purely because Gragas was disabled that everybody had to look at that, Zach?
I mean, yes. Like, ultimately, like, the reason the jungle pool expanded because, like, the S tier went away, which lends credibility to the whole, if we nerf the top 3, then things finally show up. And so there's the evidence of that. I think there would have been more if Mordekaiser and Gangplank weren't so silly. Then we'd have more target bans, he'd branch it a bit more, right? If Tom Kench were banned in 80% of games, then you'd see more supports played out as well.
Well, that sort of makes sense. We've seen a lot of champions already. It's already record-setting. Deficio, you've been looking at so many theories for this final. Are we going to see new champs?
I honestly don't think so. Because we have seen like Lissandra has been shown in a group stage. I think that was going to be one of the sleeper picks potentially for both teams. But honestly, we never really know, because you can have that one special tactic where you need like a Teemo, and then you will pick him for that, last game where you're down 0-2. So potentially, maybe, we can see one, but we're not expecting.
I mean, it's not Worlds without Singed, Corki, and Jackson, and so hopefully those come out here. Otherwise, those are the only champions that are going to have that streak broken. I'd actually be curious.
We just need complete new meta for the final.
Complete new meta. We'll pull in
Quintop.
I'm done. Quintop, that's it. You heard it here first.
You will never see Quinn in competitive
Let's
play
see
ever.
if Quinn will join us in the final.
I'll see you next year, bro.
It's fine.
Yeah.
That's the deal.
Okay.
It is time for a World Championship Final edition of Studs and Duds. Last week I chimed in with myself, but there's only 2 teams left in the final. I did. I picked my own studs. I picked my own duds, but
wow. How'd that work out for you?
I was not great. I was overstepping my bounds, and now I'm just going to leave it to the professionals here. So Freak, Mr. Knowledgeable.
Yeah.
Studs and duds. Who are they and why?
So big stud for me, SKT's top laner Marin. I think he came in a little bit underrated coming to the World Championship. To me, whenever I rate a player, I rate more than just their in-game performance, but what they bring to a team, either off the rift or sort of shot calling wise. And Marin, team captain, I mean, SKT is undefeated largely because of him. His shot calling is absolutely great. Plus the fact that he's like statistically the best top laner in the tournament by most measures. highest CSD at 10, highest CSD at 20, top 3 in terms of damage and whatnot. So I mean, this guy is just absolutely incredible. Meanwhile,
anything he can't do.
Marin, to me, Marin is probably the best player in the world, and that's what I'm going to go thrust with this one. Is that Marin is so good? I think he's actually, as a total package, to build a team around, Marin's the guy. Dud, Yellow Star. Speaking of building teams around a person, I mean, to be fair, he got Fnatic to top 4 at Worlds, but in terms of semifinal performance, Yellow Star got 3-0'd. He's one of the big voices on the team. The team tilted off the face of the earth in Game 3 and played terribly. The fact that Game 1, Fnatic were so far ahead and then threw it off some bad team fights. Game 2, they came back from a big deficit. Okay, props to that one. And then in a game that was still winnable, once again lost in bad team fights. And he's getting the clutch calls right most of the time, but as your competition gets better, 1 or 2 mistakes is enough to lose you the game. And so Yellow Star, as a big voice, not leading the team well enough, is my dud.
Yeah, I think that's fair. It's hard to hear as a European, but the truth is often harsh. Deficio, I know you were gushing about some of the support plays from the semi-finals, so your studs and duds.
Stud has to be Gorilla. Obviously, beat Yellow Star 3-0. Also one of the big voices on the KOO Tigers. But I mainly like the fact that Gorilla and Hojin together are like the backbone when it comes to setting up these very, very, very smart counter plays KOO Tigers have always been able to read where's the action going to happen, how do they counter it. I think Gorilla has shown a fantastic champion pool. I hope he even plays like Vega support in the final. Potentially he was the guy who got it nerfed in the first place. This guy can do like everything. He's a strong laner, he's great at roaming, he's fantastic in team fights. So I think he's like the total package. And I would honestly say he's the best support in the world right now. So judging from semi-final, judging from the rest of the tournament, he's my stud. Shout out to Smeb. I mean, we have to do it. The guy was amazing, but it was too easy to take him. Everyone else will have him as a stud.
You're not allowed 2 picks here.
I'm just saying, it's a shout out. Shout out. Everyone else had Smeb as a stud.
Did you read the rules of PTL?
I took
Yeah, come on.
He took
So a hashtag Deficio lose can't even follow the rules.
I don't think we're supposed to vote for this.
No, I don't.
I'm now cutting you off, and you didn't tell me who your dud is.
My dud is Reignover. And
wow, picking a Fnatic.
I know, but so Reignover. If you look at the first 15 minutes, I'm like, MVP. Wow, what a great performance in the games against KOO Tigers. Such a good start in the early game. However, whenever Fnatic had to make a play after 15 minutes, he was the guy in the front, setting up the play and failing the play and taking the wrong decisions, like the tower dive from game 1. I think I'll probably rewatch that like 10 times now, and I still cry. 17 minutes in, tower dive in the bottom lane, 5 versus 5, and he flashes in under the tower to take down an Alistar. Come on.
Well, unfortunately, it did not work out. So we've heard our studs and duds, and I think it's about time to look back at those semi-finals and listen to the pros in this week's edition of Mic Check.
We had a good game last time. We just have to play the game, our game. Don't get frustrated.
We played really, really good. We just have to play a bit better.
Can you go in here?
Yeah, we're coming.
He actually walked into... Okay, maybe we can get him.
We can get him,
Yeah.
I got him. Good job.
Okay, that's good. Just reset.
Just reset.
리신 아예 안 보였어 지금까지. 탑 룰루테 생각해요.
오케이.
지금은
지금
끊어줄 수
가자,
있어.
동아.
지금 끊어줄 수 있어.
괜찮아, 이거 한 번 더 맞출 수 있어.
탑안 보이면
이거 전멸하면 잡을 것 같아.
나이스.
I can't. I have no mana.
I go.
They're
behind you.
Take your front going. Take your
Get
front
mid.
going.
Can you get mid now?
There is no way.
Flash.
Recall and go bot. Recall and go
I
bot
can
already.
flash.
Or we lose bot. Okay.
We might I can maybe escape.
We might lose bot.
We don't lose it, by the way.
We don't lose bot picking. It's fine.
My bad.
Can we get this in time?
I'm recalling.
야 잡자. 펜타강.
아니야, 너 이미 끊겼어.
야, 이미 끊겼어.
이거 이미 더블킬이야.
이미 끊겼어.
아 끊겼어?
Let's go.
Let's go to lobby.
Let's go to the Freeman.
Time to get
Smeb.
Smebo. Join. Variantje.
Free Smebu.
Ja met Drake.
I'm fighting top.
It's about to hit
flash.
Drake right now.
Okay.
We have plane pressure bot.
Oh fuck, I'm dead.
여기 핑크. 우리가 먼저 그냥 형이 발로 찔러볼게 이거.
형이 찌르면 내가 큐플로 넘길게.
될 것 같아 간다.
I'm a
Kaisa.
No heal. He's gonna TP bot. You guys have to run. Try to run.
나이스. 렉사이. 천천히. 렉사이 노플.
죽었거든. 뒤에 르블랑 온다. 천천히 해. 뒤에 르블랑 와.
Riven.
Nice on the flash. I'm gonna kill him.
Kill the sack. No passive.
I got it. 킬 가있어?
뺐다 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 괜찮아 괜찮아 렉사이드 풀킬 렉사이드 풀킬 렉사이드 풀킬이요? 야 우리 리븐이 3킬이야 괜찮아 괜찮아 오케이 나이스
Go, go, go. I'm going.
Their support is gonna come.
They're moving to ultimate. They're moving to ultimate. I will try to cancel. I will try to cancel.
They get.
I'm gonna try to cancel him.
Kill this guy. Nice. Take me tower now.
나이스 여기 들켰다 나이스
11호 높을, 11호 높을, 11호 높을.
11호
11호 높을. 11호 높을.
나이스 슬로우 가자 쭉 가 나이스
나이스.
나이스 바로 가자
We are the one.
스나 있어요?
있어.
They're
moving.
I'm gonna use ulti. I'm gonna use ulti.
We're not five. We're not five.
Slowly. Fight slowly.
We're not five.
I can like one shot this guy. I can.
I'm gonna go in as well.
Go slowly.
Kalista.
Riven.
One shot.
I'm gonna back.
Yeah, we cannot do this.
Oh.
We had to wait for five.
You have to wait for me, guys.
Yep.
I absolutely love hearing from the players on stage and listening to their calls. We'll need to see how the guys are going to do in the championship final. It is, of course, KOO Tigers taking on SKT. And this is going to be a tough one for KOO because historically in the summer split, KOO Tigers went down 0-4, didn't lose any of their games. They only got 2 dragons across the 4 games. They lost in an average of 33 minutes. And SKT had an 8+ KDA. Now, to be fair, these teams did not meet in the playoffs where KOO Tigers did step up.
But they did in spring, and the final 3-0 SKT.
That's a long time ago.
I'm just saying, last time we made a best out of 5 was also a 3-0 SK Telecom.
But now, can you not deny?
It was also it's only been one.
It was a 3-0.
You're like already saying it's going to be 3-0 SKT.
No.
That's what it means.
I'm just saying. Last time best out of 5.
Is literally what you inferred.
Fine. Whatever. Move on.
So let's step back. Let's step back and say historically. 7-0 in favor of SKT over KOO throughout the year. But KOO are looking stronger and stronger, Freak. Every time they've showed up on the stage, there's been questions and doubters. They've quelched a lot of the naysayers.
Yeah.
And I think showing up against Fnatic is a very big statement ahead of their final.
Yeah, KOO definitely showed up. I think KOO are... I think KOO are probably getting the correct amount of praise right now, right? Like 3-1 over KT, 3 over Fnatic. Smeb is the literal highest damage per minute top laner in the tournament. I mean, it's a true 3-threat team, and like even closer than SKT is, where like the 3 damage dealers are all within like 3 damage per minute of each other, which is like ridiculously close, but they're all like basically 580. And honestly, KOO are also the very best team at growing gold leads from 10 to 20. Like, they're on average behind. Like, they're behind more than they're ahead at 10 minutes, but these guys are still able to grow a very big lead between 10 and 20. And they do more. They grow more than SKT does.
And in theory, this is enabled by a lot of the individual players, right? Because as a team, you know, we've seen KOO, they play from behind. We've heard the story so many times. So let's actually go lane by lane, starting with supports, working our way up to the piece de resistance of Smeb v Marin. So, Wolf versus Gorilla. Deficio, what's your take on these 2 players and how they're going to impact? I mean, Gorilla was your stud at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I think this is one of the lanes or one of the positions where KOO has an advantage over SK Telecom. I think Gorilla is a better overall support than Wolf, but Wolf is still very good at doing exactly what SKT needs from him. Because when he needs to sit in lane and be safe with Bang, he will. It's very rare you see him like go all in and lose a 2v2 trade. He just sits back. He's very good at moving around the map as well, being like, okay, then maybe they're going to dive Marin top. He recalls, he goes top lane, he sits ready, and then he just recalls and goes back to bottom lane. So you don't often see him too much in the early game. But then when it comes to starting team fights, it's often him being on the main engage. And I think he's definitely gotten a lot better. He was one of the guys we looked at MSI and said he was a weak link on SK Telecom, but he's improved over the summer split. Maybe it helped him that Peekaboo left the team. I don't know if the pressure off made it easier for him to perform. But Gorilla, for me, is just the best support in the world. And he's the key member for KOO Tigers when it comes to getting back. Because he can either play disengage or he can play the heavy engage. He knows how to be part of these roams with Hojin, set up these skirmish and ganks. And like, if he plays well and he gets to roam out of the side of the laning phase, I think that's one of the ways KOO Tigers can win the early game. That's a very, very big can, because SK Telecom is probably going to win every single early game.
Oh, strong words.
Every single early game.
Early game I completely agree.
As an AD carry main Freak, let's look at the AD carries Bang and Prey in conjunction with the supports. Now we can toy with these 2v2s, or we can talk of the 1v2s with roaming support. How are Bang and Prey going to measure up against one another and impact the rest of the map?
Measuring up against each other doesn't seem to mean very much. As far as sort of 2-on-2 lane matchups, you don't see a lot of them. It's like pretty heavily lane swapped for both these teams. Yeah. And honestly, like even still, like neither of them have like that impressive laning stats anyway. Like the top AD carry laners are still like Niels and co, right? So like these guys are just kind of chilling there with like -1 CSD in Bang's case, and like.
And that was the same thing coming into the tournament, because the 3 Korean teams we had. Basically, all of them had more focus on top lane than AD carry, so that's remained the same. Marin and Smip gets all the attention. AD carries are basically just pushing waves and pushing towers for most of the early game. Yeah,
I mean, I think it's at a very high level of play with very good top laners and just sort of how League of Legends works at a professional level. You really want consistency out of that role. And these guys are both very, very consistent. They're veterans. I mean, Bang was probably still is KDA leader. I didn't check actually this morning, but
should be.
Yeah, probably still KDA leader. I mean, Prey has been actually quite good at that as well. He's been the Worlds before. He's very consistent. So, I mean, these are basically plug-and-play AD carries, but very consistent AD carries who are strong mechanically, and they'll just do fine.
I think that's a great concept for the AD carry role within these two teams.
The fun thing, though, is with the 2v2 lane, if you look at Ku Tigers, like during the summer split, and one of the changes they made coming into playoffs where they got a lot better, was that Gorilla said, you know what, I'm not going to roam. You know, Smeb and Hojin can do whatever they want on top side. I'm going to sit in lane with Prey, and we're going to try and win that 2v2 lane. And they play like Kennen support. We haven't seen it too much from Gorilla, though, at this tournament, but they started playing like these aggressive lanes. They did really well, and Prey got a lot of farm, and he started having more of an impact in team fights. They've kind of gone a little bit away from that again. Gorilla is now more trying to join the early fights. So it depends on what strategy you want to play. Do they want to go with the risky, you know?
Well, talking about strategy, we'll get to that and analyze the teams a little later. I want to stick with these lanes now because we know that Faker will be starting in the mid lane against Kuro. We know EasyHoon's sitting on the back burner. EasyHoon won 3-0 in the spring split against Ku when they won in the spring finals. So what is this mid lane matchup? Are we even going to see EasyHoon?
I don't think they need EasyHoon. So Faker said in his interview before the semifinal that EasyHoon is more aggressive than he is in lane. I don't think that's true from what I've seen. Faker's got, actually, now that Hoon's had a few more games under his belt, Faker's got actually pretty significantly higher CSD at 10, for example. And we were seeing Febiven already beat up Kuro. Like, you remember his cast in a game, he was down like 25 CS pretty early on in the game. And Faker can do even more. Like, Faker is statistically even a better laner than Febiven was. Febiven's number 2, but Faker's number 1 here. So I think pushing in Kuro all the time, not letting him TP out, which is how he was getting back into these games, was how they were beating KT, was that he was running better than Nagne. If Kuro can't get around the map, then that's a really good thing for SKT. Faker's good at doing that. Faker can take the victor and push mid forever at all times and punish every roam, and this is all like good things in SKT's favor.
And despite the fact Kuro was against Febiven and had some troubles in the semi-final, it didn't really impact the flow of the game. So is Kuro going to stay relevant against SKT?
Yeah, I mean, that's the key thing, right? Kuro doesn't play for the laning phase. He brings teleport not to go back to base and TP back to his tower and get more farm. He does it so he can join the side lane fights whenever it's going on. You see time and time again, Smeb and Kuro instant TP to one lane, and there's like this 5-man happening from Ku Tigers because they do well when they're 5 together, you know, friendship and everything, having fun. They don't do extremely well if it's 1 versus 1, except for maybe Smeb versus whatever top laner in the world. So Kuro definitely is going to aim more to impact side lanes. That's where Faker can pressure him. EasyHoon, I almost feel, can do exactly the same.
Okay.
And I would say EasyHoon, when it comes to playing like control mages like Azir, is probably still better than Faker. But then again, Faker will bring so many different counter picks, even bring more aggressive lanes or aggressive lane picks, where he can maybe even get a solo kill.
Well, I want to talk about pressure because in the jungle, there's pressure on Bengi. He's the only other previous World Championship winner along with Faker that could be getting themselves a second Summoner Cup. Coming up against Hojin. And let's be honest, Hojin was shown up in the quarterfinals against Score. I don't think he had a great early game. So what about this matchup? What is Bengi going to do to Hojin?
So I think Bengi's got a big lead here. So when we talk about Korean junglers, I want to bring up something real quick, is that Korean junglers really play for the ganks. If you look at CSD, CS differential at 10, for the junglers, the bottom 2 are these 2 junglers in the finals right here, right? Literally number 8 is Hojin, number 7 is Bengi here. And the thing is, so they're spending all their time ganking instead of farming. SKT are still like 11-1 in first bloods, right? They're still getting first blood, you know, all the time. Now the thing is, Ku Tigers have less than 50% first blood. They're 5 and 6. So their jungler is literally the worst farming jungler in the quarterfinals, and they're still not getting first blood. So, I mean, you just look at these metrics and you're like, clearly Bengi's doing way more.
Hojin has this weird play style where instead of directly ganking, he will sit in the bush and he'll like wait. He'll just throw out the fishing pole and be like, okay, come on, enemy jungle away. You're here, you're here. And then the guy shows up in bot lane and kills his support or something. He's like, okay, well, go back to jungle, do like one camp, go back, wait in a lane. Like he's really patient, sitting there, waiting and waiting and waiting, but he's not always as effective. And I think like the Zac pick for them in the semifinal was saying, okay, we are gonna get out jungle in the early game anyway. Let's just get one of the best scaling junglers and then win team fights. And like Hojin is Ku Tigers in many ways. Okay. Not the strongest early game. He's not going to risk too much with his ganks, and he's going to get like scaling and be strong in team fights. That's what Hojin does really well. And that's what he has to be able to do. So the rest of the team needs to realize they're going to be behind at like 10, 15 minutes.
Well, we talked about the rest of the team. Ku Tigers know how to play from behind because they've done it so many times, even in this tournament.
Yeah.
And the matchup that everybody's looking forward to, Maren v Smeb. As your stud, Freak, Maren in the top lane, is Smeb going to keep him under control, or is Maren just going to ruffle stomp this one too?
I think as far as individual 1v1s go, I think this is actually quite close. Maren is obviously doing really well. He's actually highest gold share, for all top players in the tournament. Right, he gets everything.
Well, he carries the whole team.
Yeah, sure, right? It's worth it, right? But he gets everything.
But hang on, is he the shot caller? Is he saying, give it to me? Or is the team playing around?
I mean, it's a mix of the two, right? Okay. Like, the thing is, as a shot caller, and I've had some experience doing this on lower level competition, because I'm so vocal, I'm very used to talking to my jungler and saying, oh yeah, show up here, I know there's opportunities up. Not all players are innately vocal, right? So sometimes you're just better at giving information. So the game works this way. It's not necessarily a flaw, it's just that he's better than the rest of his team. I don't speak Korean, I don't know what they're doing, but that's a theory.
That's a theory.
Okay.
So there you go. There's 30 seconds for nothing at all, guys. But honestly, yeah, Maren, he's getting the ganks though, right? It's working with Bengi. He's doing plenty of damage. Smeb is close to as good as him though.
Deficio, will Smeb beat him?
I'm gonna say yes.
Wow.
If we get a 1 versus 1. But the problem is when you play against SK Telecom, it's never 1 versus 1. Because then Bengi's there. Then Wolf is recalled and run all the way up to top lane. And there are always guys around who can help Maren. He gets so many resources. He gets pink wards. He gets everything to help him obviously get a lead. And it's a very smart tactic. I think what Smeb does really well is not necessarily his lane control in terms of farm. He often falls a little bit behind in farm. But when it comes to finding that one-on-one opening, where someone makes a mistake, he will punish you, boom, instantly. Like Huni was up like 20, 30 CS on Riven, and then he made one mistake, and Smeb kills him, boom, and then he snowballs out of control. I think Smeb can do that. I think he has to do that. If Ku Tigers is going to win, it's about Smeb beating Maren in that one-on-one.
A little later, we're going to talk about some of the tactics and some of the decisions that's going to let them do it. And I'm also going to ask you guys for your predictions on whether or not Smeb is going to overcome Maren and SKT and pick up that win or not. But Freak, I think you have to talk about Twitter.
Yes, I do. Guys, I have some predictions that you guys are going to bring out. Welcome, everyone, to the Twitter segment of PTL here. Let's talk about last week's question, which was which two teams will make it to the finals. If you guys were watching the episode at all, you would know those teams are SK Telecom T1 and the Ku Tigers. If you didn't know, well, I guess now you do, so congratulations on that one. And 20 of you got that one right. And that means I am disappointed in 20 of you for not having any faith whatsoever in Europe. But I mean, I guess you're right, so I guess you should be disappointed in me. Either way, the Hall of Fame question was who's going to have the most kills, and of course I had faith in Europe and said Fnatic, AD carry. That was wrong. But the most kills and how many kills they got, the actual correct answer was Ku Tigers mid laner Kuro with 24. None of you got that one right, so moving on without that. But let's move on to this week's question. And this one is going to be about the top lane, and it's which of the two top lane is going to have the highest KDA in the finals? I'm going to guess Maren from SKT. And to get in the Hall of Fame, tell us what the exact KDA of that player will be. And I'm going to guess that Maren's KDA is 7. If you guys get it right, welcome to the Hall of Fame. If you just get the player, 50-50 chance. Better than Spawn, at least to be in the credits in some way.
All right, so top laners is where it's at for Twitter. And Deficio, you said Smeb could win the one-on-one. I think one of the big things to talk about is how he's going to do that. We've got 5 things to talk about when we talk about team strategy, and I want to break them down. Picks and bans, laning, vision, team fighting, decision making. Let's start with picks and bans. And Deficio, which team do you think has the advantage here, SKT or Ku?
So SK Telecom is a very simple team in many ways in the pick and ban phase. We haven't seen too many surprise picks coming in from them. It's fairly standard what they are picking. Yeah. Ku Tigers, on the other hand, is a team who's known a bit more for being innovators. You know, they have some, should we call them cheese picks here and there. The Zac was a big surprise.
Cheese.
You don't like cheese?
No.
Okay.
No, I like cheese, but
get
calling
picks
it cheese
instead then.
Unique strategies.
Strategies.
Look,
I prefer
when you bring out something unprepared, that's just awesome. And I do agree. Ku Tigers definitely known for this one.
Of course.
Yeah. I think cheesing is like the equivalent of four-pooling, which doesn't exist here in League of Legends. So, like, I mean, on it, like,
No, I agree with you.
I know it's not the place for that discussion, but either way, yes, I do agree with you completely.
I had a rant on LCS talking about the term and how I agree with you.
It was just a small, fun term to move on and say they had some surprise picks.
All right.
Normally, I'm still expecting Veigar support from Gorilla. We saw the Zac from Hojin. They can pull out some surprises in their Pinger Man phase that could maybe surprise SK Telecom, but then again, they probably scrimmed each other for such a long time, and I'm sure they know most of the picks.
And Freak, these surprises, if they do get pulled out, how's this going to impact the laning phase? I remember you talking about lane swaps being quite a thing for both of these teams earlier in the show. So what's your opinion on the early game, lane swaps and decision-making for both squads?
I think this actually favors SKT because lane swaps are pretty hard to get wrong if you're a top-level team. I expect them to go pretty close to equal. And so when it comes down to it, you just have the only heads-up matchup left is mid lane. And okay, you have to be a bit safe because maybe you don't know where the jungler is, things like this. But essentially, everyone is equal except for the fact that mid laner is getting destroyed by Faker. And so that just, to me, like already tips it in the favor of SKT. Also the fact that even if it is normal lanes, KOO Tigers are one of the worst early game teams in here. I mean, they are behind more often than they are ahead, and they're 10-3. So
that is true, but the next tenet in our discussion is vision, and KOO has traditionally been pretty good at warding and using some of that vision decision-making to bounce back. I mean, their Ashe with Hawkshot, for example, is one of the most talked about things. How does vision match up, Freak and then Deficio?
Pretty well. For KOO, I would say it's close. I didn't come in like looking at the stats for Sightstone timers, but I know these are both Sightstone junglers, as pretty much everyone is anyway. But you know, SKT focuses a lot of their vision around mid lane. A lot of it is setting up Faker. A lot of it is when he goes and plays Ryze. They set him up for the one-on-one kills. Like it's not entirely focused around him, but like there is a fair bit of setup for that lane in particular. Whereas
that and top lane.
Yeah, right. Like those are the two pressure points for them, and KOO honestly could go to any of those places. So they could try to pick on bottom lane because they know SKT won't try to ward there as much. It's a possibility.
We have very different strategies when it comes to warding from both teams. KOO Tigers, obviously because they are more passive, have very defensive ping wards they place to try and spot, you know, okay, are you coming down to dive our bot lane, then we move down everyone to jungler. They use it against Fnatic extremely well to spot, okay, when we're Fnatic sending 5 guys somewhere to kill them, and they will be ready to counter gang it and like use that to get some kills and get team fights going. That's how they like to ward. SK Telecom is a lot more offensive in the way. They like to take over the river, especially with ping wards towards the top side, as you said, so near mid lane and towards Marin up there to make sure they can do really, really well. And then you just keep pushing that ward line further into the enemy jungle, and it allows you to be proactive in the early to mid game. It allows you to take the right fights like SKT wants to do. They're not a team fighting team, they're more like one-on-one, 2v2, and you need that aggressive vision to get these fights properly, otherwise KOO Tigers is going to be ready with 5 guys.
But KOO Tigers is a team fighting team.
It is. So we have skirmish versus team fight, which is the fun part. If KOO Tigers can spot them coming...
Will they win their team fights?
I think KOO Tigers, the way for them to win this game, basically, is through team fights. If they can spot when SKT is sending Wolf and Bengi to dive top lane with Marin and be there to counter gang it and get a 3v3 or 4v4, that's how KOO Tigers can win. So they need the defensive vision. SKT needs to deny that, and there's going to be so many fights going around, you know, when ward's in the river and who takes over what.
Absolutely agree. I think that's what this game kind of boils down to. Like, once SKT are ahead, I mean, they smell blood. I mean, you've got a player named Wolf on the roster. These guys are coming after you. I mean, it's going to be a very aggressive, like, from 15 minutes on for SKT. They're going to get ahead. They're going to start going for those skirmishes, and KOO have to find some way to not get wrecked by 20 minutes. If they don't, then KOO Tigers can come online and do the things that they're known to do. But that's the big test, is how do you survive the first 15 against SKT?
So picks and bans, niche picks for KOO. Laning phase can kind of go either way.
No,
Vision,
that's SKT.
Vision, clash of styles. Then you've got the team style. KOO is, bouncing back from behind and late. The decision making is what's allowed KOO to bounce back from their weak and slow early.
Yeah.
Freak, you're adamant there's not much chance in the final here for SKT.
I mean, here's the thing. Is like, I know last week I said, oh yeah, KOO are going to try to bounce back, but I know Fnatic are good shot callers, so if Fnatic gets ahead, they're going to be fine. And then KOO won game 1 anyway.
Everybody thought Fnatic was going to be fine.
SKT, you know, comes in, oh, they crush when they're ahead really well, and then I haven't seen them come from behind. Well, they also came from behind against Origin over in game 1. So like, both these teams have ways of coming back from behind, so I no longer have like a really easy measuring stick for like, oh, they just suck when they're losing the game already. So I don't know. I think it's going to be close. I do want to give KOO some credit. I think they do stand a chance here, but I think it is pretty heavily SKT favored.
Yeah, I definitely think their decision making is what has made SK Telecom beat KOO Tigers so much in the past, because KOO Tigers play around you having shitty decision making and making a mistake. So they're like, oh, Fnatic, you're gonna dive now this tower. That was a big mistake. We counter you, we win the fight, and like 3-4 kills on our Kassadin, and we move on. SK Telecom is a team who rarely makes any bad decisions as a team. It can be like one guy overextending and dying. That happens.
You can build a bunch of leads by like these gangs.
Exactly. The big 5-on-5, why did you just do Baron here? Why did you just go for this dive? That was stupid. Rarely happens. And that's why when they get the lead in the early game, they don't tend to lose it to KU Tigers. KU Tigers don't get the opening. And that's been the big problem. They have to find something new, or they need to hope that SK Telecom, for some reason, is making a ton of mistakes in the mid-game in terms of their decision-making for KU Tigers to bounce back.
Well, gentlemen, we've spoken extensively about the individual players. We've spoken about the team strengths and weaknesses. And with this little toy, I think it's about time to start death timers. And welcome back to my favorite part of the show, loud noises and loud arguments. It's time for death timers. Before we get to today's question, somehow you guys out there in internet land voted for Pastry Time to win last week's death timer.
Who was he
with
against?
His pitiful defense of Origin.
Okay, so it was basically just
I will admit it was a superior combatant to Freak, but his argument was weak.
Dude, I don't understand. I mean, like, I was actually correct.
I know.
He's like, oh yeah, he literally said like Origin basically can't win, and I was like, no, KU Tigers should release what? You know what? You guys.
So let me explain the rules to Deficio here. 45 seconds from when I say go. Each of you will get one team to argue how they will win the 2015 World Championship. It'll be KU Tigers or SKT. SKT will be on the blue side for games 1, 3, and 5. Factor that into your decision making as the games will play out. And of course, to make things fair, I do have a coin here that I'm going to flip to determine who is going to get which team. All right.
So what are the sides?
So that is going to be heads.
Okay, so
and
the 2 euros.
That's going to be
heads.
tails. All right. You know how coin tosses work, gentlemen.
I just want to earn 2 euros. That was all.
Right. So heads or tails, call it in the air.
KU Tigers, no matter what.
That wasn't an option.
I don't care. I will take KU Tigers because I know you want SKT. You want the easy one, like you had last week, and you still managed to lose. You still managed to lose last time.
All right.
45 seconds.
Gentlemen,
you say go.
You're taking my job now. We got a little excited.
We're better at it than you are.
We're going to start with the KU Tigers and Deficio. Death time is starting. 3, 2, 1, go.
So, KU Tigers, red side, 3 games. That means they can get a counter pick for Smep in the top lane. They're going to use that to make sure Smep can win the 1v1 against Marin as long as they control the top side of the map. That's going to be strategy number 1. Strategy number 2 I think they can run is a siege composition with Veigar either support or mid lane. Give me a Jinx 80 carry, and what you do is you play around the bottom side first, then you move that 80 carry to the mid lane and you start hard sieging on Veigar's Rise, which has no proper wave clear outside of his ulti. You take down towers, you get a big...
comes in as though he could play anything else.
That's what he's going to pick, don't worry. He's going to bind pick it. He's going to bind. This is my 45 seconds.
In how many games?
Game 1. They're going to win that. They're going to get a big lead. Smep doesn't have to do anything in that game. He will then carry the rest of the games and they can still win. Done.
Wow.
You stole my 45 seconds. There we go.
He's looking to Smep AFK's game 1 and then
45 seconds.
Oh, shut up.
You know
maybe you should watch the segment and realize what happens every time.
Okay.
I'm just playing Toby.
I must admit, that is a significantly better argument than what I heard from Pastry Time last week.
Which means he's going to lose now.
And you guys at home will need to decide who you think will win.
I even gave you 2 options.
We have heard Freak's argument for SK Telecom. Your death timer starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
First of all, like I said last time, it could actually happen, so it's already votes in my favor. But honestly, SKT are already 12-0. I mean, just the plot armor of the perfect run through Worlds, I mean, that's enough to prove that KU can't win either. We saw the plot armor for C9 back in week 1. It's going to continue here, honestly. It's...
You mean zero players, C9?
Yeah, exactly. But either way, I mean... Still win more games than H2K. Either way, honestly, this is a team where individual skill-wise, I think it's a mismatch. Faker's going to crush Kuro, and a bunch of you say, oh, he's going to TP out of his lane. He's going to TP out of his lane and lose his turret. Like, SKT is going to, I think, crush a lot of laning phases. Marn is a total package, going to do more than Smeb. Smeb can hope to play as well. I know you think he's going to win. That's cute you think so. It's not going to be the case here. Player skill-wise, the fact that the early game is so crushing.
That was probably the worst I've ever heard. You start 20 seconds of nothing and then that.
To be fair, I interjected as well as an impartial host.
Yeah, impartial.
That's my
But if
bad.
I've learned anything, it's that if you give a terrible argument, you win anyway. So Pastry Time, give me that blessing, homie.
Let's find out. You guys at home need to tell us who has won death timers for the World Championship edition of PTL. Jump onto Twitter, vote at LOL Esports. with the hashtags Deficio1.
Don't do that.
If you think he is going to be proving Ku Tigers can
That's
do
Deficio
it.
with an S, by the way.
Or if you think hashtag Freak1 with SKT and that terrible, terrible defense of Cloud9 and plot armor or something. Vote now. Who won Death Timers?
It's me.
And it is that time of the show where I put you guys on the spot and ask for your actual predictions. We've broken down player matchup, teams, death timers. I want to know who is going to win the 2015 League of Legends World Championship and in what score, Deficio?
SKT is going to win. That's the easy one.
Wow, hashtag Deficio.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And
that's cute.
we're going to do 3-1. Ku Tigers will take one game.
Which game?
It doesn't even matter. They're going to take one
Which game?
First game. Ku Tigers are surprised.
Okay.
Because Smep gets a counter pick. And they run my Veigar Jinx Siege comp and like it all.
Your
my comp.
After watching them play it, it's now yours.
Their comp. 3-1 SKT.
I'm sensing a little bit of saltiness after the
He's super
loss
salty
of
all
Death
the time.
Timers. So, Freak, for your prediction of your 2015 World Champion.
Yeah. SK Telecom T1 from South Korea. 15-0 the dream. Undefeated World Championship. That's my prediction.
Well, drop it like it's hot. The games will begin on Saturday with the opening ceremony kicking off at 12 noon Berlin time. Be sure to tune in. Check out lolesports.com for the time zone conversion in your local region. Right, now this week's edition of Primetime League is locked in. It's time to turn to a Pepper-powered Penta. And of course, it's called Pepper Powered because I am being punished for putting myself in a predicament. When I did the hot pepper highlight on PTL a few months ago, I made a comment in the thread where if a European team, a la Fnatic, made semi-finals, I'd eat a hotter pepper. Earlier this week, Reddit reminded me of my transgressions, and now I need to pay.
And in honor of Faker's rise, we too are bringing Ghost Peppers. So, tons of damage.
And hold on a second, Freak has manned up and agreed to do this with me, so thank you, Freak.
You're welcome. Meanwhile, Deficio chickened out. No, I was asked, do you want to be part of this? And I was like, yes, I like Trevor Quickshot Henry. Deficio works with the guy, apparently doesn't.
So
we arrived today at the studio, and basically they announced two things. One, Trevor is getting punished for being stupid and being a non-believer, and basically saying that it was weird if Fnatic made top 4, therefore he will get one. And for punishment for going 0-10.
No, not punishment.
The NA caster will also get one.
I
I'm smart enough to
predicted
walk
two
out.
Western teams top 4.
There you go.
Well,
so I was ready for that.
ladies and gentlemen, a Ghost Pepper. Thank you, Deficio. You may now leave the set. Oh, I'm going to join in on this. For the record, oh, this is horrible.
Okay.
This is about 10 to 20 times more powerful than the habanero.
Let's go.
Right, Penta. Fuck. Coming in at number 5, Ku Smep finishes off Huni in a 1v1 knockout.
Huni gonna pick a fight once more with Smeb. In Grand Challenge throws down. Smeb flashes away from the third proc of the Broken Wings. Huni will find a stun, but fails the flash. And Smeb will be smiling with that one.
Rip rocking at number 4. Kuro picks up the quadra kill.
Smeb will not find the kill, and Feathervin jumps in the pit. They've traded AD carry for support, but Feathervin's down as well. Reckless needs to survive and tank. The shields are there, but there may not be enough. He's flashed out, and Kuro chases him. That's a triple, looking for more. Huni's getting run down, and Huni will not find anything. A quadra for Kuro.
It gets so warm. At number 3, it was Fnatic's Yellow Star with the moves onto Kuro.
Lane, they do get something. That's the play. Yellow Star flashes the baby cage, knocks Kuro into Rainover's waiting hands, and Feathervin sends the soldiers for the kill.
The ultimate displacement from behind your mid turret to the middle of the lane. Nothing Kuro can do to stop that one. Good counterplay by Fnatic.
Very little you could do as a mid laner when they're coming between 2 towers and knocking you so far back into the lane.
Galloping at number 2, Kuz Smeb. Brought on an onslaught of pain. Kuz 1v3.
We even heard Yaroslav say, oh, let's see what happens top.
All right, let's throw everything and the sink at Smeb. He's already chunked Huni down. The Flay comes out. Onslaught of Shadows. Smeb's got one and he's not done. He's looking for Yellowstar and Rainover. And ladies and gentlemen, if Huni wasn't tilted already, that may be the play that does it.
Our number one play this week was Origin Soaz with the Great Escape.
We know he leveled it up early. Also has a ward. Does get hit though, he's slowed. And he's missing a turret, so here comes Bengi. He's gonna flash for the slow, which means Soaz has to burn it preemptively, and he guesses right. Bengi goes the wrong way, Soaz goes back in onto Marin, and the stun is still available. The Q comes in, gets some damage down, but where's his team gonna be? There's no one around right now. He's still running away through the wards. Pops Summoner Teleport. Soaz makes the Great Escape. Soaz is a god.
It was spicy.
It was horrible.
It's not going away, which sucks.
I regret my decisions.